What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and it's Top 10 Thursday. You know, I've been thinking about the fact that there are so many hundreds of amazing PS4 games. I mean, it's just hard to even keep up because they're coming out so quickly that you can't play all of them. So, over the course of this week, I've been going through and checking out some of the amazing stuff that I feel like you've probably missed. The great titles that have just gotten totally overlooked in this ocean of fun experiences. This week, I'm counting down my picks of the top 10 best PS4 hidden gem games. Number 10. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. This project falls into a new genre that's just recently been created, which is called AA. It's stuff that's not exactly giant, but looks amazing. Instead of building a project that's huge and open world for absolutely no reason, they build a contained experience that tells an amazing story in the most beautiful way possible. Hellblade is really moving and really tries to toy with your ideas of perception, reality, and combat. You're going to be fighting off all sorts of monsters, though you don't know if they're real, and wondering if you can die in a way that's so bad it'll delete your save file. Hellblade is dirt cheap, incredibly awesome, and something that absolutely everybody needs to try. Number 9. Graceful Explosion Machine. I feel like a lot of indie games go a little bit overboard. They try and be so cutesy and weird and overly colorful that they miss the point of just trying to build something unique. This one, though, it does something really fun, which is that it's quite simplistic. You only have 4 weapons, which are basically different kinds of long-range and short-range lasers, and they're used to just blow up everything that possibly crosses your path. The thing is, it's really enjoyable. I feel like when I'm getting a big combo and eliminating a ton of enemies, I'm smiling from ear to ear, and even when I end up dying, it's just great seeing how much I managed to achieve before I eventually met my own personal explosion. Number 8. Nex Machina. Let me begin this entry by surprising you a little bit and telling you that this game, as cool as it looks, is actually one of the worst selling titles ever to come to PS4. It just didn't move at all, to the point at which the studio declared that this entire genre of arcadey twin-stick shooters is completely dead. Well, I can say that despite the fact that this did have some troubles during development and during sales, it is absolutely epic. I cannot overstate how fun this is, whether I'm playing alone or with friends. Basically, the point is to try and fight your way through levels as fluidly as possible, nuking people, using specials, grabbing items, and continually progressing deeper into this world taken over by evil alien robots. I love it because it makes it where every single little map becomes a tiny dance, trying to achieve the longest combo, the biggest kills, and keep yourself from being hit once and absolutely being decimated. Number 7. Hob. This is one of those games that caught my eye way after everybody else. I mean, I know that people kind of regard it as this legendary indie experience, but I found it about 4 months after it came out, but was instantly blown away, not just by the fact that it didn't have any hype around it, but how it's just so freaking unique that it needs to be talked about. Hob almost feels like a retelling of Zelda in a way, having a small hero on a big adventure that almost defies words. After a terrible accident, he gets a giant robot arm that lets him beat up enemies in a very Link-style way, but more importantly, it helps him solve puzzles. This is a very problem-focused game, letting you try and do stuff like move environments around, charge up buttons, and do super attacks. I really like Hob because it's so mysterious as it weaves this weird journey between what is real, what is fake, and what is really going on. Number 6. World of Final Fantasy. There is a huge selection of cool RPGs that you can play on the PS4, but this one's really fun because, well, let's face it, it's just a knockoff of Pokemon. You go around through a weird meta version of Final Fantasy that lets you see different monsters and heroes from throughout the entire franchise, but instead of just beating them up, you can capture them and use them in your party, making it where you can now build your own version of the ultimate team-up. This game cracks me up because it tries to have such a lighthearted tone. It doesn't really take itself seriously, and because of it, you end up seeing cutesy versions of so many different epic moments from throughout the series, but turned into the most chibi, adorable version of it. And on top of everything else, the combat is fantastic. I love being able to customize not just how I attack, but who I'm attacking with, stacking together strikes, magic, and everything I can to eliminate the big bad bosses. Number 5. Absolute Drift. Now, before you jump on me for putting a driving game on this list, I do want to say this is a very different kind of experience. While you are in a car, it doesn't really control the way you might imagine. This thing is basically cruising on ice, making it where you can slip and slide any way you want. The longer you drift, the higher you score. Now, that sounds basic, but it's really not. This game puts in all sorts of silly challenges, like putting you on a map at night that has no guardrails, so one bad drift sends you falling to your doom, or making it where you get a bonus for drifting past light posts. This all combines to make something that is really addictive. The average run only takes about 2 minutes, but I found myself playing this for hours at a time just because I always wanted to get that perfect drift, to make it where I'd go around that next corner so flawlessly that I'd get a giant multiplier, get another million points, and ace that high score. This is so fun because it's so soothing, it's so easy, and it's just so dang enjoyable. Number 4. Deadcore. Sometimes you gotta be honest with yourself and realize that all you're wanting in a game is to blend together a bunch of different aspects of different stuff you've already played. In this case, it sort of takes a bunch of pieces of, well, let's face it, Portal, and takes it in a different direction, adding in some first-person shooter elements and some brutally difficult puzzle solving. Deadcore is only for the most serious of players. It is really difficult, but that's part of the fun of it. Each of the different maps is essentially like interacting with a huge 3D gauntlet, trying to figure out how you can navigate through different courses, turning on different anti-grav pads, walking along very narrow platforms, and trying to do everything you can to survive till the end. Now, the reason this all works so well is because movement is so tight. I never felt like I died because of bad controls. When it was me flying around trying to land that next big jump, it felt perfect when I landed it, and terrible when I missed. This game can be beaten relatively quick, but I found myself trying to go back through it just to find every single trophy and to see if I could become the master of this weird alternate puzzle-solving universe. Number 3. Odin Sphere Leifthrasir. I probably just butchered that word. Please don't say anything about it in the comments. Odin Sphere is a side-scrolling action-adventure game, but one that manages to really try and transcend itself into art. It's not just about the moment-to-moment gameplay of beating up different monsters and progressing through these interesting levels. It's also about the fact that you're almost interacting with a giant living painting. Every single frame of this is, well, art, down to its very core, but on top of that, there's some really good story to behold. The plot itself is revealed as a series of storybooks of a little girl up in an attic picking them up one by one. This is really just their excuse for having different characters all in the world simultaneously doing their own thing, and I think it's a really smart way of telling the story because it's really complicated. There's betrayal, there's trust being built, there's a massive battle that just keeps progressing whether you watch it or not. Now, this game is super addictive because leveling up and getting more upgrades for your character makes you so strong, and you're going to need every ounce of power to try and tackle that next big encounter. This game can be tough, but not only that, it can just be fun in a way you're probably not expecting. While this looks like just another simple beat 'em up, it's not. This is an in-depth brawler that deserves your respect. Number 2. Yakuza 0. This series is so amazing and completely overlooked. It's never talked about and people really don't realize how amazing it is. Each of the different Yakuza games takes place in a different era and in a different place. But what's really important is the fact that what you do is more important than the story itself. Yes, I said it. Yakuza are games about just messing around and having pure fun. Whether it be chilling in the arcade, beating up people in street fights, or actually trying to progress the plot a little bit, whatever you do is the correct option. 0 is really the best place to start since it's a huge prequel starting off in the 80s. All the characters are really young and things are just starting off. You get a chance to feel out each of the different characters before the main plot finally develops. It really lets you see a peek of how much this franchise can grow and evolve from here. And if you love it, well, guess what? There's tons more games out that are all just as hilarious, weird, and awesome as this one is. Number 1. Infamous First Light. This game began as a piece of DLC for a game that I'm pretty sure everybody's tried. The original Infamous Second Son is something that's absolutely stand out both as an open world experience and as just a weird off-the-wall superhero game. First Light though follows a totally new hero, the side character of the original game called Fetch. Now that's really cool on its own, but something that I really admire about this is Infamous First Light not only looks different, but plays very different from the original. I actually found myself enjoying it more than the main game in some aspects, and the fact that this is a standalone piece of DLC means you can buy it and play it completely by itself, and I really highly recommend that. It's so cool being able to use these light powers to hover around the city, light dash up buildings, or just use it to use laser beams to kill different drug dealers. This project can be really heavy with its intense themes, but on top of that, I still think that the gameplay itself is what's most important, and it works so well. It feels like a real gift, and it's so sadly overlooked. Everybody needs to try this out, and I feel like they won't. Do yourself a favor and download this. It's probably $5 online, and it's worth every single penny. Every part of this list is great, but Infamous First Light is something that stands above the rest of the series by being so fresh and original, and for that reason, I am awarding it my pick as the number 1 PS4 hidden gem. Did your favorite game not make the list? Got an idea for a future top 10? Leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. You know, I've really only got into Yakuza hardcore in the last couple of years, and I still just can't get enough of it. You should really check these games out because they're a gameplay style you're not going to see anywhere other than the PlayStation 4. Well, unless you play the early versions on PS2 and PS3. Play these damn games. Oh, hi. I'm just working on the next video. If you want to see what it is, go ahead and click this button and you can subscribe. Also, if you click these video links, you can see my latest review and my latest top 10. Now I'm just going to sit here for a minute and wait for you to subscribe. Oh, I guess I could put on these giant glasses. I literally found these on a roller coaster.